If Draymond does leave in free agency, does that change how you view the Jordan Poole trade? Because a lot of people, if it's between Dre and Poole, I'm siding with Dre. But what if both are gone? Because I told you at the beginning of the offseason, I wouldn't be opposed to both of them being gone.
And it depends what your roster looks like.
Of course.
Now, he brought up Kawhi Leonard. And I couldn't help but look at Kawhi Leonard's contract situation.
What is it?
So Kawhi Leonard is 32 years old. He's got $45.6 million left on his deal for this year. And then he has a player option at the age of 33, $48.7 million.
If you're asking me, the answer is yes. Yes, I'm in on Kawhi Leonard because I watched him play elite defense, and I know he always gets hurt.
Listen,
but I thought his defense was cooked, and then he came in a couple weeks later. Remember that
against Kevin Durant,
and just completely locked him down. And I said, you know what? I'm 1,000% in on Kawhi Leonard. He's like the perfect player opposite Steph Curry.
So I could be talking to Kawhi Leonard. I've always had a man across with Kawhi Leonard. I thought at one point, 2019, 2020, he had an argument to be the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
As the guy.
Yeah.
The best two-way player.
Before the injury.
The best overall player. Now, here's a problem with Kawhi. I mean, look, in terms of setting and fit, he doesn't want the spotlight. Steph Curry's got that. Kawhi Leonard has no problem with that. You're talking about another ball handler. You're talking about a guy who can get to the free throw line. You're talking about a guy who can hit the mid-range jumper and a guy who can hit the three. Now, you look at his last few seasons, right? He missed all of 21, 22 with the injury. Played 52 games last year, 52 games in 2020, 2021. 2019, 2020 played 57, 60 games with Toronto. You have to low manage him.
Of course.
He's not playing back-to-backs. But if he is healthy, now, would the Clippers be intrigued with the Andrew Wiggins? Would they be intrigued with the Jonathan Kuminga? Now, all of a sudden, you get Chris Paul off the bench with Kawhi Leonard, and you have Steph Curry, you have Klay Thompson on an expiring contract. You have Looney.
Clay's the shooter Kawhi really hasn't had opposite him since who?
Would the Clippers want to do business with the Golden State Warriors?
It does feel like the Clippers. If I'm the Clippers, I want to get if I realize that core, those two guys aren't going to win, get me back assets and flexibility. Warriors could provide that.
Kawhi Leonard, would he be available? I know he takes a lot of days off. Gosh, he's such a good player. I would love to roll into
a series with Steph and Kawhi. I would love it.
And then you get Chris Paul handling the ball, who's going to take pressure, or Kawhi can handle the ball, and he draws double teams, and Chris Paul's wide open. That's the thing. We hate Chris Paul so much, but just the basketball player, because that's what I did all week. And I said, get over the hate, just think about the basketball player. And I actually started to do this Friday during the show. Him wide open. Chris Paul taking a wide open shot. Those are not no, yes shots. Those are, this guy can make it. This guy can make the mid-range. He can hit a wide open three. He's efficient. Would Kawhi Leonard actually be available? And would the Clippers want to do business with the Warriors? Could they pull? What if it's Dre and Wiggins stapled to that in a sign and trade?
Hadn't thought of that.
Because into the argument that we were having about, or the conversation we had.
Why would they want Dre? It would have to be like a three-way deal.
It'd have to be a three-way deal, maybe. But in terms of just the resetting the books, 7 o'clock hour, we're talking about, could the Warriors be the NBA's version of the LA Rams, to where they take out a bunch of expiring contracts and they play this baby year by year by year? Because now the 2-timeline plan, whatever it was, that's out the window. That's done. Wiseman's in Detroit, Poole's in Washington, D.C., and we don't know what the hell's going on with Kuminga and Moody. So that plan that you had, the 2-timeline thing of these youngsters taking over the church when Steph Curry was talking about, hey, our job is to make Jordan Poole an all-star. Our job is to make Wiseman one of the best players in the league. Our job is to make Jonathan Kuminga a defensive player of the year. Well, that's kind of shifted. That's shifted. It's a win-now mode, but you can still win now by having a bunch of players playing for contract. I love nothing better than sports. Hey, you want to get paid? Prove it to me on the floor.
Let me ask you this one. If it costs you Klay Thompson instead of Wiggins, because they want that expiring deal in return, would you do it?
It'd be hard to say no. It'd be hard to say no to Kawhi. That's a hard one to say no to. Because now, if it's Clay instead of Wiggins. Now I've got Wiggins and Kawhi, 2 defensive pit bulls on that team alongside Steph. I'll shift Wiggins to the 2. Well, I don't care.
Could you envision a scenario where both Kawhi and Paul George are moved? It's a lot of money.
And the Clippers are moving into a new arena.
Yeah.
So they may want to just reset things anyway. But do you want to go into a new arena with nobody out there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I just think that everything should be on the table at this point. I mean, if you're going to absolutely, move and get CP3, who's someone who I never thought would be ever in the mix with the Warriors.
No.
I'm open to anybody and everybody. No. I'm big game hunting. I'm going Giannis. I'm going Embiid. I'm going Kawhi, Paul George. I'm open to whatever.
And Lakers in that business to getting superstars. So you look at Paul George's contract, same thing. He's got the 1 year left with the $45.6 million, and he's got a player option. And we know how highly he feels about the Splash Brothers.
Full mercenary mode? Going from loyalty to full mercenary mode for the Warriors?
Listen, but who are we loyal to? The only untouchable on this roster is Stephen Curry.
Right? I don't know. You say that and I say that, but I don't know how many other people agree with you on that.
888-957-9570. Is Steph Curry the only untouchable on this roster? To me, he's the only untouchable. Everybody else is in play. Everybody. Even Loon Dog. And I love you, Looney. I love you.
This is Kevon Looney.
I mean, I don't think I'd never get a package of Fit 8 ever again, but
tell you know what? You can never move Looney at his price point. It's one of the best values in the game. It is one of the... You cannot move Looney.
I'm keeping Looney at all.
Not that he's untradeable. It's just that, God, it's such great value.
I would not want to move him.
Value.
He's got 2 years and $15.5 million left. I want Loon Dog. Hopefully another team sees Loon Dog and say, yeah, we don't want... I want Looney. Trust me. But let's be real. The only untouchable is Stephen Curry, right?
Yes.
Right, fans?
Yes.
So what do you do to maximize Steph's window?
It would be a dramatic shift in philosophy.
So, when people say you have to do everything to maximize Steph Curry's prime. Well, how do you maximize Steph Curry's prime? You do everything you need to do to maximize his prime, which is moving any and every asset that you have to make sure that you put together the best possible team alongside Stephen Curry to go win a championship.
What's better?
Because that's the mode we're in now.
Let me ask you this then. What's better alongside Steph Curry? Paul George and Kawhi, if you hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, Paul George and Kawhi or Draymond and Clay?
Oh, my God. If I know I'm getting 60 games from Kawhi.
But you don't.
You don't, which is a problem. And you don't know what you're going to get from Paul George because he seems to suffer an injury every single year. That's a tough one. On paper, you would say Paul George and Kawhi.
Yeah, I don't think you even think.
But you don't even know about their availability, which puts a lot of doubts. And I know how well Clay and Dre play alongside Stephen Curry.
If you know for a fact you're going to just struggle guarding Jokic, the best way to counter them is put unbelievable pressure on them offensively on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of team that I think could do it. That's why, if you can, you'd like to hang on to Clay because of that shooting. It honors the defense in terms of the half court. Boy, I'd love to get one other perimeter player as lethal.
I want to know, as we head into this new league year, and moves are going to be happening all week long, and Friday, 3 p.m., everything becomes public, and trades become official, and everything that happens in free agency.
Oh, that morning it'll probably start leaking, right?
Right. That morning it's things to start leaking. Who's untouchable outside of, Steph Curry, the only untouchable? And would you be willing to part ways with any of these guys if you know you're going to get some upgrades here? I don't know. The Warriors, some people believe they think they're in a dire situation because of the cap. I actually think they're in a great spot right now. As of Monday morning, I think they're in a great spot.
They're calling me Jigsaw.
Why?
Let's play a game.
Try to put the puzzles together.
You know the Saw, the movie Saw?
Yeah.
Where it always starts off with some sort of hypothetical, random, brain teaser.
Speaking of a franchise that jumped the shark, that one.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Only so many ways people can die. And I was like, all right, so I'm over it. Also, remember when Steph dressed up as Jigsaw and wheeled into a game?
I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
All right. We'll get back into the Giants at some point. Maybe we are off our rocker.
I don't think we are. They just traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul.
Yeah, I never thought that would happen.
It's one of the most random trades of all time. Warrior fans, if I told you in May You're getting Chris Paul for Jordan Poole.
You would have called us crazy.
You just said you're idiots.
This is the NBA, folks. Anything could go down.
That is factual.
Anything could go down.
If you had Ben Simmons sitting on a couch for 2 straight years, let me know, because you clearly can see the future.
We saw Paul George get sent to L.A. at 9 o'clock on the West Coast at the Kawhi Leonard side with the Clippers. We didn't think that was happening whatsoever. Moves happen all the time.
Christian McCaffrey's a 49er.
Or I guess a better question here is, are the Warriors done making moves? Do you truly believe in their heart of hearts that Draymond Green is the only move left for them? Because I don't know if that's good enough to compete for a championship.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.